Okay. So can we recap what we were discussing in previous class? So we have created a Git repository. Then no, we have created some files, and we have seen how we can add the files to the staging area, then to commit them to the repository, and also see what is the history of the Git. Okay, who has committed and what they have committed, when they have committed. So that we have seen on a particular Git repository. Okay, so that is only about adding some files to the Git repository. Also, we have discussed there are two ways of creating a repository. So one is right from scratch. If you don't have any repository, so how you convert the current directory or a specific absolute path into a Git repository, or the other methodology is you need to clone a repository. Okay, so for that reason, you should have already a repository should exist, and you should have a valid URL, and using that you can clone that repository into your local Git repository. Okay, so that you can contribute your efforts, and then you can push those changes back to the original repository. Okay, so that process, I mean, two extra layers will be added on top of what we have learned so far. One is pull, and another one is push. Okay, so pull is pulling the changes from others into your repository, and pushing is what are the changes that you have made, pushing them to the original or committing them to the original repository. So as long as whatever we have done yesterday, so the history will be recorded, the changes will be recorded, but they will not be seen outside, all right? So whatever the changes I have made, they are still on my computer, right? Or at least on the Git which is existing on my computer. If those changes have to be shared with other developers in the project, what I have to do, I need to push them to the original repository so that they can pull those changes from the original repository. That's where we sync at one common repository, where I push my changes to the common repository, and people also pull the changes from all other developers into their local repository. So that's how it works. So if you want me to explain the diagram, I can write. This is how it works. Okay, so okay. So there's a problem. Let it be like that. Right? So the people, if there is a repository existing in this server computer, so they will clone onto this computer A. Similarly, the developer B also, I mean, as many developers are there. I just give only 2 developers, but yeah, if you have 20 developers, those 20 developers will clone will clone the original repository from the server computer to their local computer. So they will do their changes on their local computer. So then what they will do next? They will push their changes back to the original computer. Okay. So similarly, if the changes, I mean the changes done by computer B also will be pushed back to the original computer. So if computer B wants changes from computer A, right? So what they have to do? So they have to wait until computer A checks in or pushes their changes back to the server B and then computer B then pulls their changes onto their computer. So this is pull operation and this is push operation. Similarly, for this computer B also, this is push operation and this is pull operation. So this is how it works. So there is one more beautiful concept in this thing. So they can temporarily, meanwhile, if they wanted to contribute between themselves, they don't want others to their changes, others to see their changes until they are finished. And maybe these two are working on the same feature. So in that case, so these two can be in sync for some time. Okay, so they can exchange the files between them so that computer A can pull the changes from computer B or computer B can pull changes from computer A so that they can be in sync for some time. When they are done with this thing, then they can pull the changes back to the server computer so that other developers in the organization can see their changes. Is it clear so far?
Yes.
Okay, so in order this topic, we need to have a what? We need to have a Git repository or some other remote repository, right? So unless you don't, I mean, as far as till now, we are only working on the local computer, right? But for me to pull the changes, I need to have a remote repository. So for that, you need to have a proper URL. In your organization, you'll be having a proper Git repository. Either it could be a GitLab or it could be GitHub or it could be Bitbucket, right? Where your organization's project is set up and everyone can clone from that URL. That repository is not exposed to the public. Okay, but for us to do the same thing, right? For us to practice the same, we have similar thing available, but we call it as a GitHub. Okay, so GitHub, a private GitHub is also there, a public GitHub is also there. So private is where organizations buy the license and that can be visible only by to the organizations which bought, right? And public repositories are visible to anyone in this world. Okay, so then we'll create one public repository. I have already a GitHub repository available with me. I don't want to again create another one. So instead, I'll make someone to I'll navigate someone share their screen, and I can teach them how to create a GitHub account so that we will use that account to clone the repository. Okay. Uh, can anyone is anyone interested? So that I'll tell them. Others will.
I'm interested.
Yeah, Mimi, you can share me your screen. I'll teach you how to create that account. Okay.
Share screen.
Yeah. Give me a minute. I'm making you as a presenter.